Some people think that you are only as good as your worst mistakes. Personally, I don't think that's true. When I remember someone, I mostly remember the times that they made me smile, or made me laugh. But this is an atrocity, I mean, come on! Mega Man 11 is a mostly fantastic game with great levels. Keyword, mostly. There is one level that is the spawn of both the devil and what appears to be an abandoned Sesame Street character. The level that I am talking about is, of course, Bounce Man. I despise this level. 1, for how poorly it's designed, we'll get back to that, and 2, that for some reason when I first got this game, I decided that this level would be the first level I would beat. So if I'm telling you that this level is terrible, even when I should have rose-tinted glasses and nostalgia towards it, you know it's bad. Before we really dig into this level, let's review it quickly. The first thing we notice when we start the level is probably the bouncy board at the bottom. It doesn't do anything right now, so let's head up. Then we meet a new enemy type, this cannon. Then it introduces us to the main mechanic of the level, bouncy floors. Further up we are introduced to a blaster, and when we are at the very top, we hop on down and the springy board flings us up to the ladder. Now, pause. Because that first room was pretty good. Yeah, I'm serious. This level starts off strong, introducing us to most of the unique things in the level, then capping it off with a very interesting mechanic. In fact, because of how it's set up, we assume that this is going to be the main mechanic of the level. I can't wait to explore its uses throughout the level. We'll get back to this. The next room introduces us to an odd enemy when you have to get rid of the balloons with a well-timed charged shot. And the next room has a timer-based platform. Now we see an absolute menace of an enemy, the bouncy balls. They throw you off your rhythm and are basically impossible to fight intelligently. After that is a room where we put together all the separate parts we have been acquainted with since we started the level. Apart from the springboard, of course. Now, here is the point in the level where the designers thought, hey, this is not infuriating enough. So they gave us a combat room with bouncy balls, a platforming segment with those timed platforms again, and a vertical segment that is so easy to fall down all the way back to the bottom. Time for the first mini-boss. The frog is easily beaten once you figure out the attack pattern, to the point where it is trivial fighting it. Swing, tongue, deflate, repeat. After you kill it, you go into the first horizontal segment of the level. And it is here when we meet a new enemy type. Well, that's okay, we're only 1/3 of the way done with the level, so that is an appropriate time to keep introducing new mechanics. The problem is not the time it is introduced, it is what is introduced here. That's the problem. This bastard. He comes up in front with no visual or audio cue and hits you mid-jump. What a great idea for an enemy. The next room is designed in such a way that the extremely hard bouncy enemies from before are now extremely pitiful. Another timing platform part. Then we go into a combat room where you have to take your time to fill up your attack. After all, waiting is the best part of combat. Then another getting over it styled room. Then it's off to the second frog. This frog is exactly the same, but the floor is now springy, so instead of sliding under it, you hop over it. This is, admittedly, a very clever idea. One of the only that this level has. Afterwards, more timed platforms. Immediately after that, the climax of the stage. It's a horizontal segment, so we go along and... oh no. These again. The problem with this is that we only saw these once, and it was about half the level ago. The player has completely forgotten that these things exist, so they are even more of a shock to us and even more of an annoyance. The horizontal area opens up into a vertical one, and oh, well, would you look at that, the springboards are here. That's right, what should have been our main mechanic shows up only in the first room, and then never again until the very end. Wonderful level design. I mean, I can't see a single flaw here. After using the springboards for the third time in your life, it's time to say goodbye to them again, and head for the boss fight. Bounce Man is a tough fight, and exactly the same amount of nuisance as the rest of his level. Okay, after all that, it's time to figure out what is so bad with this level. Well, in my last video, I talked about how every level has a theme, and that theme is basically what every mechanic and enemy has in common, and what the whole level is about. So then, let's take a look at the unique mechanics of the level and see what they have in common. We have the timed platforms, the floor that bounces you up rhythmically, the enemy that fires on timers, the enemies that have to be shot at a specific time. Okay, the theme is definitely timing. Timing is all about patience and waiting. So then, why does this level feel so crowded and chaotic? There is a simple reason. Enemies. Now, half of the enemies are good little features and know their place. The cannons, blasters, and balloons all move in rhythm, just like the player is trying to do. The first room of the level feels good because all the enemies work in rhythm, and none of them are Group B. Group B is made up of enemies that specifically go against the theme. They disrupt the rhythm of the player. Think the drones, the bouncy balls, and yes, the blocker. Because all of these disrupt the flow of the level is designed in a way that requires a good sense of flow. This is what creates the tedious vibe that Bounce Man's level has going on. Timing challenges are supposed to take patience, but not this kind of patience that you need to sit through being stuck on one room for eternity. A perfect example of this is the boss fight, Bounce Man himself. The boss fight is supposed to encompass the feeling of the stage and its theme. So, how do you focus on timing in a boss fight? Well, I'll tell you how, but first, tell me what you would do if you were designing this fight. Right now, you are probably thinking, every boss fight has a little bit of timing in it, and that's true, but this one requires focusing on it. Now, you are most likely at a loss. Want to know why? Because timing requires easily memorizable patterns, and boss fights are all about those knee-jerk reactions. So when we go back to the game, we see that it is mostly very underwhelming and predictable, and then it feels like you got ripped off when they break that trust. A boss fight focused on timing cannot work, and Bounce Man proves it. And also, be honest, I don't know what I expected when I thought about Bounce Man's voice, but it was not this.
Bounce time!
I'm not alone in that, right? Oh, you stayed to the end. Well, that means it at least was entertaining enough so that you didn't click off to another video, so that's good. And hey, because it wasn't boring enough for you to click off, why don't you head below and see if you're subscribed. I'm still a small YouTuber, so chances are you aren't. Anyways, have a good day.